Commander Juan pressed his face against the cold glass of Luna Prime's observation deck. The massive space station orbited Earth like a silent guardian, and today it would host visitors from across the galaxy. 3 sleek ships approached through the darkness of space, their hulls gleaming silver against the backdrop of stars. "They've been asking for this meeting for 8 months, Lieutenant Mina Kim said as she walked up beside him. Her military uniform was crisp and clean, but Juan noticed she looked tired. Everyone on Luna Prime had been working extra shifts to prepare for today. "The Coalition doesn't give up easily," Juan replied, watching the alien ships dock with practiced ease. "They're desperate." Below them, in the station's largest conference room, Earth's leaders were already gathering. President Do-hyun Park sat at the head of a long table made from real Earth wood, something that impressed visitors from worlds where trees no longer existed. Counselor Yuna Lee shuffled through her papers one last time, while Dr. Jiho Seo checked his tablet for the latest reports from Coalition space. The doors slid open with a soft hiss and the alien delegation entered. Their leader was tall and thin, with blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the conference room lights. His name was Vex, and he represented the Kytherian people, one of 12 species in the Galactic Coalition. "President Park, honored counselors," Vex said, his voice coming through a small translator device clipped to his chest. The machine converted his words into perfect Korean. "Thank you for agreeing to see us. Please sit," President Park gestured to the chairs across from the Earth delegation. "We're always willing to listen to our galactic neighbors." Vex wasted no time with pleasantries. "The Tauric Empire has conquered 6 star systems in the past year alone. Billions of innocent beings have died or been enslaved. Their war machine grows stronger with each victory, and we fear they will not stop until they control the entire galaxy." Dr. Jiho leaned forward. "We've seen the reports. The destruction is terrible." "Then you understand why we need Earth's help," another delegate said, this one a short, furry creature with large eyes. "Your technology is centuries ahead of ours. Your ships could break through Tauric defenses like they were made of paper." Counselor Yuna shook her head slowly. "Earth no longer wages war, Ambassador Vex. We learned long ago that violence only creates more violence. When we fight, innocent people suffer and die." The alien delegates looked confused. Through the large windows they could see Earth floating below them, its cities glowing with clean fusion power. Massive orbital platforms harvested energy from the sun. Transport ships moved between Earth and its colonies on Mars and the outer moons. Everything spoke of incredible technological power. "But you have the strongest military in known space," Vex insisted. "Our intelligence reports show weapons and ships beyond anything we've ever seen." "We have defense systems," President Park admitted. "But we don't use them for conquest or war. We protect ourselves and provide aid to those who need it. Nothing more." A third delegate, tall and thin with gray skin, spoke up. "You could end this war in months, maybe weeks. The Tauric Empire would not expect Earth to join the fight. We could coordinate a surprise attack that would cripple their fleet." "We could," Dr. Jiho agreed, his voice quiet. "Our ships are faster, our weapons more powerful, our tactics more advanced. But we choose not to use them for war. That choice is what defines humanity now." Vex leaned back in his chair, clearly frustrated. "I don't understand. Your people have the power to save billions of lives. How can you just sit here and do nothing?" "We're not doing nothing," Counselor Yuna replied. "Earth sends medical supplies, food and refugee aid throughout Coalition space. Our hospital ships treat wounded soldiers from both sides of the conflict. Our scientists share technology that helps protect civilian populations. But you won't fight." "No, we won't fight." The conference room fell silent. Outside, cargo ships loaded with humanitarian supplies prepared to launch toward Coalition space. Earth had spent more resources helping refugees than most planets spent on their entire military budgets. "May I ask why?" Vex said finally. "Your history shows that humans were once warriors. You conquered your own world through conflict." President Park nodded. "Yes, we did. And we nearly destroyed ourselves in the process. 200 years ago, Earth was dying. Wars had poisoned our oceans, burned our forests, and killed billions of our own people. We came very close to extinction. But you survived. Barely. And when we did, we made a choice. We decided that we would never again use violence to solve our problems. We would find other ways." Dr. Jiho activated his tablet, showing images of Earth's cities. Green gardens grew between gleaming towers. Children played in parks where battlefields once stretched. Clean rivers flowed where poisoned wastelands had existed. "This is what we chose instead of war," he said. "Peace doesn't mean we're weak. It means we're strong enough to choose a different path. The alien delegates studied the images in silence. Their own worlds were scarred by centuries of conflict. Some had no forests left. Others had poisoned atmospheres from weapons of mass destruction. The Tauric Empire will not stop, Vex said quietly. If we fall, they will eventually come for Earth. If that day comes, President Park replied, we will defend ourselves. But we will not travel across the galaxy to wage war, no matter how just the cause might seem. The meeting continued for 3 more hours, but Earth's position remained unchanged. As the alien ships departed Luna Prime, Vex sent one final message to President Park. When your children ask why you didn't help save the galaxy, what will you tell them? Park watched the ships disappear into hyperspace before answering, I'll tell them we chose love over fear. Captain Sunny Min stood on the bridge of the New Sol, watching another refugee ship limp into the emergency docking bay. The vessel's hull was blackened and torn, with holes where Tauric weapons had punched through the metal. Smoke drifted from its damaged engines. How many survivors? She asked her medical officer, Dr. Kira. 43 Kytherians, 12 humans and 8 others, Kira replied, checking her tablet. Most have radiation burns. 3 won't make it through the night. Sunny closed her eyes for a moment. In 6 months, her ship had rescued over 2,000 refugees. Every day brought more damaged ships and broken families fleeing the Tauric advance. Captain, Engineer Tay called from his station. I'm picking up 3 more distress signals. 2 coalition ships and 1 civilian transport. Send rescue teams to all 3, Sunny ordered. And contact Earth Command. We need more medical supplies. The New Sol was one of 50 Earth humanitarian ships working in neutral space. They carried no weapons, only food, medicine, and hope. But even with all their efforts, they couldn't save everyone. In the ship's medical bay, Sunny found a young Kytherian girl sitting alone on a bed. Her blue skin was pale, and her large eyes stared at nothing. What's your name? Sunny asked gently, sitting beside her. Zira, the girl whispered. The bad ships came to my world. They burned everything. My family, they're all gone. Sunny put her arm around the child. She had heard this story hundreds of times, but it never got easier. Entire worlds were being destroyed, and Earth's policy of neutrality felt more difficult to maintain each day. Back on Earth, crowds gathered in Seoul's Central Plaza. The protest had been growing for weeks, with citizens demanding action. Signs in Korean and English filled the square, Save the galaxy, Earth must act, and children are dying. Activist Juno stood on the plaza steps, speaking through a megaphone. How can we call ourselves civilized while entire civilizations burn? The Tauric Empire is committing genocide and we do nothing. The crowd cheered, but not everyone agreed. Counter-protesters held their own signs, peace is strength, and war solves nothing. In the government building nearby, Councillor Yuna watched the protests from her office window. Her assistant, Secretary Park, brought her the latest casualty reports. The coalition lost another battle group, Park said. The Taurics destroyed their main shipyard at Kepler 7. Thousands of workers died. Yuna felt sick. Every day brought worse news. But she knew Earth's position was right, even if it was hard to maintain. That evening, the Global Council met in emergency session. Representatives from every Earth nation filled the chamber, their faces grim as they reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The coalition is asking for military advisors, reported General Kim. They want our retired officers to help plan their defense. Absolutely not, Admiral Ki-hyun said firmly. The old soldier had commanded Earth's forces during the last days of the old military. We disbanded our offensive fleets for good reason. The moment we send military advisors, we become part of the war. But people are dying, argued Representative Chin from the Asian Federation. Our humanitarian efforts aren't enough. Our aid has saved over 50,000 lives, Councillor Yuna replied. War would cost millions more. The moment we take sides, we become part of the cycle of violence that has plagued the galaxy for centuries. President Park nodded. We've seen what happens when Earth goes to war. Our own history is proof that violence only creates more violence. But even as Earth's leaders debated, the situation in space grew worse. Captain Sunny received daily reports of new Tauric victories. The coalition's retreat was becoming a rout. Captain, Engineer Tay reported during their morning briefing. Coalition Command is sending desperate messages. They're offering us mining rights, territory, even full membership in their government if we'll just send one battle group. They don't understand, Sunny replied. Earth doesn't want territory or power. We want peace. Dr. Kira looked up from her patient reports. The refugees keep asking me the same question. They want to know why Earth won't help them fight. What do you tell them? That we're helping in the only way we can. By healing instead of hurting. But the healing was becoming harder. Every day brought new ships full of wounded and dying refugees. The new Sol's medical bay was constantly full. Other Earth ships reported the same problem. On Earth, the protests were getting larger. Juno's rallies now drew hundreds of thousands of people. But counter-protests were growing too, led by veterans who remembered the old wars. I fought in Earth's last military campaign, said former Colonel Minjae at a peace rally. I saw what our weapons could do. I saw entire cities turn to glass in seconds. That's not the path we want to walk again. In space, something else was happening. Earth's intelligence services had detected unusual toric fleet movements. Ships were gathering near neutral space, including areas where Earth's humanitarian vessels operated. Admiral Ki-hyun studied the reports with growing concern. They're planning something, he told his staff. The Torics are moving significant forces toward neutral territories. Maybe they're just expanding their search for coalition ships, suggested his aide. No, Ki-hyun said quietly. This is something else. Something bigger. In the outer systems, Captain Sunny continued her rescue work, unaware that Toric forces were moving closer each day. The young Kytherian girl, Zira, had started helping in the medical bay translating for other refugees. Captain Sunny, Zira said one evening, do you think the bad ships will come here? Sunny knelt down to the girl's level. This is neutral space, Zira. No one fights here. You're safe. But deep in Toric territory, General Krok was planning something that would change everything. His orders were simple. Show the neutral worlds what happened to those who helped the coalition's enemies. Teacher Naeung knelt on the classroom floor, showing her 5-year-old students how flowers grew in Luna City's amazing gardens. The children sat in a circle around her, their eyes wide with wonder as she explained how plants could grow without soil. Miss Naeung, why are the flowers so big here? Asked little Miho, pointing at the giant roses visible through the classroom's clear dome. Because there's less gravity on the moon, she explained with a smile. Everything grows bigger and stronger here. The kindergarten was Luna City's pride, built right in the center of the colony's main dome. Through the transparent walls, the children could see Earth hanging in the black sky like a blue and white jewel. It was Tuesday morning and 23 children were learning about their lunar home. Suddenly, the peaceful morning exploded into chaos. Bright flashes of light erupted outside the dome. Naeung looked up and saw massive dark ships appearing from nowhere, their weapons already firing at Luna City's defenses. Children under the desks now, she screamed, but her voice was lost in the sound of breaking glass. The dome began to crack. Air rushed out with a terrible whistling sound. Emergency alarms blared throughout the city as the transparent walls that protected Luna City's 60,000 residents started to fail. Naeung grabbed the nearest children and pulled them toward the emergency shelter, but she knew it was too late. The attack had come without warning, and Luna City had no military defenses. On Earth, President Park was meeting with his advisors when the emergency alert came through. The main screen in the government building lit up with a terrifying image. A tall, reptilian creature with yellow eyes and sharp teeth. People of Earth, the alien said in perfect human language, I am General Krok of the Toric Empire. Your Luna City has been destroyed as a warning. The room fell silent. Everyone stared at the screen in shock. Continue helping our enemies and your home world will be next, General Krok continued. You have 48 hours to promise that you will stop all aid to the coalition. If you refuse, we will show you what real war looks like. The transmission ended, leaving the room in stunned silence. Get me a casualty report, President Park said quietly. The numbers came in slowly, each one worse than the last. Luna City's dome had collapsed completely. Most of the residents had made it to emergency shelters, but not everyone had been so lucky. 12,000 people were dead. 300 of them were children. Counselor Yuna sat in her office, staring at a message on her personal tablet. Her daughter Saman had been visiting Luna City on a school trip. The botanical gardens had been one of their planned stops. Now Saman was gone along with her entire class. The funeral processions began 3 days later. In Seoul, millions of people lined the streets as the coffins passed by. Many were small, white coffins meant for children. The city had never been so quiet. At Luna City's memorial service, held in a temporary dome built over the ruins, survivor Naeung stood before the crowd of mourners. Her voice shook with anger as she spoke. They didn't attack our military bases because we don't have any, she said. They didn't target our weapons factories because we shut them down decades ago. Instead, they chose to murder children. They destroyed schools and hospitals and homes. They killed innocent people to send us a message. The crowd listened in absolute silence. 300 children died in that attack, Neon continued. Children who were learning about flowers and dreams and hope. The Tauric Empire wants us to be afraid. But I'm not afraid anymore. I'm angry. That evening, President Park addressed the entire world. Every television, every computer, every communication device on Earth carried his words. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed something that hadn't been seen in human leaders for 200 years. The Tauric Empire believes they can terrorize Earth by murdering our children, he said. They have made a serious mistake about who we are. Behind him stood Admiral Kihyun and the other military leaders who had spent decades maintaining Earth's peaceful policies. We chose peace not because we were weak, President Park continued, but because we were strong. We turned away from war because we knew exactly what we were capable of when we fought. On screens across the galaxy, humans watched their leaders' words with growing understanding. Earth had the most advanced technology in known space. Their ships were faster, their weapons more powerful, their tactics more effective than any military force in galactic history. They had simply chosen not to use them. For 2 centuries we have shown the galaxy a different path, Park said. We have proven that civilized beings can solve problems without violence. We have demonstrated that peace is possible. The president paused, looking directly into the camera. But today the Tauric Empire has shown us that peace can only exist when those who would harm innocent children are stopped forever. Admiral Kihyun stepped forward. The Global Council has met in emergency session. The vote was unanimous. President Park nodded. Earth hereby declares war on the Tauric Empire. Across the planet, citizens who had spent their lives in peace began to remember what their ancestors had been capable of. In hidden facilities, weapons that had been stored for centuries began to power up. Ships that had been disguised as civilian transports revealed their true nature. Humanity was going to war and the galaxy would never be the same. Captain Doyoung stood on the bridge of his new ship, still amazed by how quickly everything had changed. 3 days ago, he had been hauling cargo between Earth's outer colonies in an old transport vessel. Today he commanded the battleship Luna's Vengeance, the most advanced warship ever built. The ship was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Its black hull gleamed with energy shields that could stop any known weapon. Along its sides, the names of all 300 children killed at Luna City were written in silver letters. Each name glowed softly in the darkness of space. Captain, Lieutenant Sajin called from her weapons station. Long-range sensors are picking up Tauric ships in the Kepler system. Looks like a full battle group. Doyoung studied the tactical display. The Tauric force was large, with heavy cruisers and fighter squadrons. A week ago, such a fleet would have been unstoppable. Today it was just another target. Signal the rest of our battle group, he ordered. It's time to show the Taurics what happens when they attack Earth's children. Around the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Earth's peaceful orbital stations had suddenly revealed their true purpose. What everyone thought were simple mining platforms were actually weapons factories that had been running for decades. Exploration ships opened hidden weapon bays and deployed advanced targeting systems. The transformation had taken exactly 72 hours. On Mars, Dr. Hyojin watched in amazement as the colony's main factory retooled itself. Yesterday it had been making farming equipment for new settlements. Today it was producing plasma cannons that could punch through any known armor. How long have we been building these weapons? She asked the factory supervisor. Since the day we decided to stop using them, came the reply. Earth never forgot how to fight. We just chose not to. In the Kepler system, the Tauric fleet prepared for what they thought would be an easy victory. Their ships had defeated coalition forces dozens of times. Humans, they believed, were weak creatures who preferred peace to strength. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Earth fleet appeared without warning, dropping out of hyperspace in perfect formation. The Luna's Vengeance led the attack, its weapons charging with deadly precision. All ships begin attack pattern Omega, Doyoung commanded. Remember Luna City. The battle was over in 12 minutes. Tauric ships that had seemed invincible were torn apart by weapons they couldn't understand. Earth's fighters moved like they could read the enemy's mind, anticipating every move before it happened. When the smoke cleared, not a single Tauric vessel remained intact. Coalition forces monitoring the battle couldn't believe what they had seen. Admiral Vex, the same Kytherian who had asked Earth for help months earlier, watched the tactical replay in stunned silence. How is this possible? he asked his staff. The humans destroyed an entire Tauric battle group without losing a single ship. It's not just their technology, his tactical officer replied. Look at their attack patterns. They move like they've been fighting this war for years. On the battlefield, Dr. Ryan worked as a field medic with Earth's ground forces. She had volunteered to serve after Luna City, leaving her quiet research job to help in the war effort. What she saw amazed her. The coalition soldiers fight like they're trying to survive, she noted in her daily report. They're brave but desperate. Earth's forces are different. They fight like they've already won and are just finishing the job. It was true. Human soldiers moved with calm efficiency, never seeming surprised or confused. Their tactics were perfect, their coordination flawless. They didn't fight angry or scared. They fought like professionals doing an unpleasant but necessary task. Within days, Tauric positions that had held for years began falling. Star systems that the coalition had given up for lost were suddenly back in friendly hands. The speed of the advance shocked everyone, including Earth's allies. On the Tauric homeworld, General Croc paced in his command center, studying reports that made no sense. His forces were being defeated everywhere and he couldn't understand how. The humans must have been planning this for decades, he told his intelligence chief. They pretended to be peaceful while secretly preparing for war. No, sir, the intelligence officer replied, reviewing intercepted Earth communications. Our analysis shows they really were peaceful. They shut down their military centuries ago. These ships, these weapons, they're all new. Croc stopped pacing. New? You mean they built all this in 3 days? Not built, sir. The infrastructure was already there. They've been maintaining the ability to make war while choosing not to use it. The general felt a chill run down his spine. You're saying they could have done this anytime? Yes, sir. They chose not to. Until now. An aide rushed into the room, his face pale with fear. General, Earth forces have broken through our outer defenses. They've taken the Rigel system and are moving toward the capital. At their current speed, they'll reach us within the week. Croc looked at the tactical map showing red human fleet symbols advancing like an unstoppable tide. For the first time in his military career, he felt truly afraid. What manner of beings are these humans? He whispered. Across the galaxy, the same question was being asked. Earth's forces moved with mechanical precision, showing mercy to those who surrendered but offering no quarter to those who continued fighting. They weren't cruel, but they were absolutely ruthless in their efficiency. The sleeping giant had awakened, and nothing would ever be the same. Commander Unwu stood on the bridge of the Soul's Shield, watching the last Tauric warships being towed away for destruction. The massive vessels looked small and broken compared to Earth's sleek battleships. 6 months ago, these same ships had terrorized the galaxy. Now they were scrap metal. Final count, sir, reported Lieutenant Jiho from his station. 2,000 Tauric vessels dismantled. Their entire fleet is gone. Unwu nodded but felt no satisfaction. The war had been won so completely that it felt more like cleanup than victory. Every Tauric military base had been captured. Every weapon factory had been destroyed. Every planet in their empire now flew Earth's flag. Any word from the prison ships? He asked. General Croc and his staff are being transported to Luna Station for their war crimes trial, Jiho replied. The other Tauric leaders have already been sentenced. It had been remarkably efficient, and that efficiency troubled Unwu. Earth's forces had dismantled an entire galactic empire like they were taking apart an old machine. No drama, no struggle, just methodical destruction. On the rebuilt Luna Station, Ambassador Vex from the Kytherian Coalition waited nervously in the conference room. The station looked exactly like the one the Taurics had destroyed but somehow felt different. Colder. More military. President Park entered with his staff, all wearing simple black uniforms instead of the colorful civilian clothes Earth's leaders used to prefer. The war had changed them. Ambassador Vex, Park said, taking his seat. Thank you for coming. President Park, I wanted to personally thank Earth for ending the war, Vex began carefully. The coalition is grateful for your intervention. But? Park asked, hearing the hesitation in the alien's voice. Vex shifted uncomfortably. Your methods were very complete. The total destruction of the Tauric fleet, the occupation of every Tauric world, the trials and executions of their entire leadership. Were effective, Park replied simply. Yes, but it was all so thorough. So final. Captain Bora, Earth's new military liaison, leaned forward. She had been a cargo pilot before the war, like many of Earth's officers. When humans go to war, Ambassador, we don't fight to win battles. We fight to make sure the war never happens again. Vex looked around the table at the calm faces of Earth's representatives. The coalition forces fought for 3 years against the Taurics and barely held them back. You defeated them completely in 6 months. We didn't want to fight at all, Dr. Jiho said quietly. But once they forced our hand, we made sure it would be the last time. The meeting continued for an hour, but Vex left with more questions than answers. As he walked through Luna Station's corridors, he noticed that Earth's civilian workers all moved with military precision. Children played in the parks, but their teachers watched the skies with alert eyes. A week later, the newly formed Galactic Security Council met for the first time. Representatives from dozens of worlds gathered to discuss the future of galactic peace. Dr. Jiho represented Earth, sitting calmly as other delegates debated. The question before us, said a coalition representative, is what happens when the next threat emerges? Will Earth help us again? Dr. Jiho stood to address the assembly. Earth is returning to our policy of neutrality. We will maintain peace in former Tauric space, but we will not involve ourselves in other conflicts. The room erupted in concerned voices. A representative from the Andromedan Republic stood up. What if another empire tries to conquer the galaxy? What if someone threatens the peace you've created? Admiral Kihyun, attending by video link from Earth, answered, then they will learn what the Taurics learned. Earth doesn't fight wars to gain territory or resources. We fight to end threats permanently. The delegates fell silent, understanding the message clearly. On the former Tauric homeworld of Scaros, Earth's administrators worked to rebuild the devastated planet. The Tauric population, once proud warriors, now worked quietly in the reconstruction efforts. They had learned not to resist Earth's occupation. Dr. Min Jae, serving as the planet's new governor, watched Tauric children playing in a newly built school. The children seemed happy enough, but their parents still looked at Earth's officials with fearful respect. Governor, his aide reported, we've received another request for independence from the Tauric restoration movement. Denied, Min Jae replied without hesitation. They'll have self-government when we're satisfied they'll never threaten anyone again. Not before. That could take decades, sir. Then it takes decades. Back in Earth's solar system, the great warships that had conquered the Tauric Empire slowly returned to their home ports. But they didn't disappear. Instead, they took up positions around Earth's colonies, silent guardians watching the galaxy with electronic eyes. On Earth itself, life seemed to return to normal. People went back to their jobs, children returned to school, and the protests that had filled the streets during the war disappeared. But something had changed. Teacher Naeung, the Luna City survivor, now taught her kindergarten class in a rebuilt dome. But this time, the clear walls were reinforced with military-grade armor, and hidden weapons systems watched the space around the colony. Miss Naeung, little Sunho asked during story time, will the bad ships come back? She smiled and patted his head. No, sweetheart. The bad ships are gone forever. Earth made sure of that. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Earth's neutrality wasn't weakness. It was a choice made by beings who knew exactly what they were capable of when that choice was taken away. The peace that followed was real, but it was a peace built on the memory of 6 months when humanity had shown the galaxy what happened when you woke a sleeping giant. And everyone remembered,